Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Ladies of Sosa podcast. First and foremost, we want to give a huge shout out to our audience. Thank you so much for tuning in. Wherever you are in the world, we appreciate your feedback, your commentary, and just interacting with us. And I think you guys will enjoy this conversation. We are going to be piggybacking off of the last conversation we had about preserving South Sudanese culture, because that was a little controversial. We had a lot of different opinions.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And so we just want to run it back and touch on a few things because I feel like we didn't really have enough time to expound on a lot. It's a very complicated topic.
Loaded.
So we'll be talking about preserving South Sudanese culture.
It's Arab culture, South Sudanese culture, who took what from who, because that was a big conversation.
Right. And then we want to touch on a little bit of is there racism within the continent? As you know, South Sudan, we have a lot of Arab influence in our country and North Africa in general. So we want to touch on a lot of that, get into it, and we don't want to give too much away. But let's go ahead and introduce our panel. All right. So the one that we're going to introduce first right here, Mr. Tariq, he had one of the controversial clips. So I'll let you go ahead and introduce yourself. And this is your chance to kind of,
No, it's not. No, don't dive in deep. Just introduce yourself.
Yeah, no. I'm saying in the conversation. But go ahead and introduce yourself.
Yeah, so my name is Tariq. Tribe is Nyambara, Equatoria, Kushite. Live in Dallas. Home is Jacksonville, Florida.
Profession?
My profession is a Power BI developer. Microsoft side.
Nice.
And we have Neil back. She's back with us again. Go ahead and introduce yourself.
How's it going? My name is Neil Amol and tribe Dinka Nyanadjung. And I'm soon to be holistic health and wellness coach practitioner.
Love
Say
it.
IG.
Oh, not yet. But if you want to.
Okay.
Double promo.
And I'm also doing audiobooks, reading audiobooks, kind of acting out the different characters and the voices. So it's on Spotify. It goes by Humor Me, and it has a brain on it.
Nice.
Yeah.
All right. And then I have my very own blood brother, David
Big
Benjamin,
brother.
on the show. I definitely had to have him at some point, and I felt like this topic was perfect. But I want to let you introduce yourself, David.
It's about time, Sarah.
I know. No, for real.
No, I'm kidding. My name is David Doot Makir Benjamin. I'm from South Sudan. I'm from Lake State, Rumbek. And I'm an author. I have 2 books on Amazon. You can look it up and find me there. David M. Benjamin. So I have 2 books. The first book is called Roses in the Desert. And the second book is called The Game of Scrolls. So they're both on Amazon. You can find them there.
Love it. All right. And we have the beautiful and talented Blue Nile. I'm excited to have you. Super excited. Go ahead and introduce yourself.
All right, so I go by Blue Nile, and my name is Nyankur Ngui, and I'm from Dinka, BA, and I was born and raised in Dallas, Texas.
And what do you do?
I'm an artist, I sing, I do a little rapping, and I'm all in that. So y'all gonna see me around.
Oh, can we get something a cappella a little later? Can we
A little
get
later? I got you.
something?
Ooh,
All right,
yes. Love it.
bet.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Willie.
We have Willie.
We love
Fast.
Willie.
This is the
We
third
love
episode
Willie
I've
Fast.
had him in.
Willie used to be fast. No, I'm just kidding.
Ooh, the shade starts early.
I asked him. I said, Willie, you still fast? He said, I used to be.
Man, you can't be I'm getting old, So I
Okay.
can,
We're becoming the
Willie, go
uncle.
ahead. Yeah.
I'll always be Willie Fast.
Okay, for sure. Correct me. Okay. You used to run track, Willie. How did
Yeah.
that name come about?
Because I was fast as fuck.
Okay.
Yeah.
Period. Period. Don't play with him. Okay.
And the news spread, so they were like, "Yeah, Willie is fast.
Right.
He's really fast."
Right. That's
And
it.
Instagram asked him what's his name. He said Willie Fast.
That's it. With a Y.
Really fast.
Not an E.
Yeah, Willy, not IE.
I know. I messed
Okay,
up.
this is
Okay. Sorry. I'm
Willy
sorry.
Wonka,
Okay. Not Willy Wonka.
Yeah,
And then what do you do, Willie?
I'm a treasury analyst. I know you guys give me shade about that last
No,
time.
that's amazing. It's not shade. We're impressed.
And you
Right.
tried.
No. I'm Didinga. Yeah.
Nice.
Eastern Equatoria. Yeah, in the Didinga Hills.
Okay.
You'll find us.
And we got another new panelist coming up right here. Big Jew. We'll let him introduce himself. If he looks familiar, I'll let him let you know why.
So
This is not Emmanuel.
so I'm Emmanuel's younger brother, but Blue Nile's older brother. So
Okay.
So I'm from Dallas, Texas, but I was born in Sudan. Dinka BA. Right now, at the moment, I'm trying to figure out my path, but I got my degree in engineering technology, and I'm also pursuing football. So that's just me at the moment.
Love that. We have the whole family with us here today. Period. Emmanuel's actually in the studio as well.
Yes.
The big bro. So
it's a family affair, okay? My brother, and then Emmanuel's the brother and sister. Love it. Love
the support.
All right. And last but not least, we have Bjor with us. He is joining us virtually from Arizona. And I found him on TikTok because I saw that he was interested in like South Sudanese history, Nubian history. And I was like looking into his stuff and I'm like, I'm learning so much. And I feel like the audience will be able to learn a lot from him as well. And also the panelists, we can all kind of like talk and have a discussion about the trending topics that are happening right now. But I want to go ahead and let you have a chance to introduce yourself.
So my name is Bior, last name Malwa. I'm based in Arizona, and I'm from Dinka. And like she said, I'm just a researcher of Sudanese and South Sudanese history. I research the DNA and like ancestry of like Nilotic peoples and Cushitic peoples, and I look a lot into that like prehistory. I also looked into like ancient Egypt as well and that type of stuff too, and like the whole Afrocentric thing. And other than that, I just run a couple of pages on YouTube, and I have my own Discord server, got a couple of 2 ebooks, and I also run a TikTok account, as you said earlier, where I just post clips of like the stuff I post on YouTube.
So I'm curious, what got you interested in doing that?
To be honest, like it's not even, I don't know if it would be like one thing, to be honest. I think it's like multiple things. So it's like, as a kid, like my dad used to just like make me like learn about certain stuff, like just your lineage and all that type of stuff. And then like fast forward into the future, I kind of like discovered Pan-Africanism and like Afrocentrism. So then I kind of hopped on that like wave, like ancient Egypt, Kemet, ancient Nubia, started learning about that. Then through trying to like find out like my connection to it, I just started tracing like migrations of Nilotic peoples, and then like connected that way.
I love it. That's amazing. So we're happy to have you a part of this discussion. This is actually a part 2 of our original topic or episode about preserving South Sudanese culture. So I kind of want to start there because I think there was a lot of controversy, Tariq, with when we talked about henna, and if henna is a part of South Sudanese culture, or like, Black South Sudanese, like Nubian culture, and if we should be preserving it or, kind of stepping away from Arab culture and trying to find our own identity. And there was a lot of people who had a lot to say.
Yeah. I feel like people were pushing back on saying that we were not proud of who we are and we're trying too hard to adapt Arab culture and say that it is our own. So I know you have your own thoughts on it, so I want to give you a chance to just like expand on what you were talking about. Obviously they didn't have context that we're talking about like henna, but do you feel like we as South Sudanese try too hard to attach ourselves or call, like, assimilate into Arab culture and call it our own?
I don't think we try too hard. I think the world itself is just a blender. It's a lot of cultures out there, and we as humans, we typically gravitate to a culture that we like. If you like sushi, you like sushi. That doesn't mean that that's your culture. It comes from Japanese culture. That doesn't mean that you're abandoning where you're from. It's just you're incorporating other cultures within your culture. So the topic we were speaking about it, as far as henna itself is not even an Arabic culture. The henna plant doesn't even grow in any of the Arabic states. It grows typically in Egypt. That's where it started from, and it grows in India. It's a lot of African countries that the henna plant itself grows into. So the culture itself is an Indian culture and a Kemetic culture.
So it is our culture.
It is our
Yeah,
culture
exactly.
as a Kushite.
Yeah.
I'll accept that as our culture. Now the bridal itself, like the whole henna bridal, is because that's kind of what we was discussing. You brought up like Bika funerals, and then I will I forgot to, I can't get his name right now, but he described the henna party. It was something that he grew up in as far as the bridal henna party. So that's what we was discussing. So I think a lot of emotional dissonance happened where people incorporated, well, it's an Arab thing. So are you saying that you're part of the Arab culture? But it's like the Arab culture is our culture, because if they have come in there for that long, we've incorporated their culture within our culture as well.
And I think that was the controversy, though, because the fact that you said Arab culture is our culture, and somebody commented and said, Lualden commented. Pretty
Yes,
much.
Lualden
commented, chimed in. Yes.
But this is what I'm stating is that
Right.
Arab culture within our country becomes our culture.
Yeah.
If you bring a culture within our country, it's now our culture as well. Because
Right.
if we're incorporating within our culture, it's now our culture. And I'm
Right.
not saying that now we have to look out east to Saudi
I
Arabia.
think because the
getting
religion aspect of it, I think you brought up that your family was Muslim, so you were saying that essentially that is your culture. And I think from what I read on his comment, he was trying to separate religion from like culture. Like even though you're Muslim, that's not necessarily.
But he also said, okay, but do you see Arab cultures taking from us? That was something that he said.
Can I clarify that?
Yeah, go ahead. Jump in there.
I think
don't clarify my statement. Yeah.
No,
my
not
statement is
clarifying
true.
Well,
Yeah,
clarifying the comment, not your statement. Yeah.
I think the Arab culture is very beautiful, and I also think our South Sudanese culture is very beautiful. The Arab culture is not our culture, but we have appropriated some things from the Arab culture. And I think it's not bad to appropriate things that are good or things that are beautiful. We can appropriate those things. It doesn't make it our culture, but we can still appropriate them. So as far as henna and things like that, those are good things. Those are beautiful things. And we have appropriated those things in our culture. It doesn't make it our culture, but we can borrow those things. And the Arabs as well, the Arabs in Sudan have borrowed a lot of things from us as well. So it doesn't make it our culture, but we still appropriate it. I can call it an appropriated culture. So we have our own native culture, but we also have appropriated culture as well. And that's part of it, the henna.
But in that token, and every culture is appropriated, because you cannot go to the source of when that culture happened. It has to come from the outside. Every culture comes from the outside.
I mean, that's true. Cultures, trade cultures all over the world over time. If something is good, whatever. But like, at what point are we going to keep our own stuff? Like wedding is a big thing. And I'm sure our people had their own traditions about what a wedding is and how it's celebrated. I mean, let's be honest, Sudanese people, we're dark-skinned. Like henna does not make any sense because like we
it doesn't show up on our skin.
It does.
That is not true. Because we use dark. We use a black henna. So some countries use more of a reddish henna.
No,
but
but
we
like,
use a black henna.
but like
It will
as
show up on
a
your skin.
dark-skinned
But
black
understood.
people,
Yeah.
why
Yeah.
do we always have to pick up on other people's cultures?
But that is our
Why
culture
can-
as well. I think what he was
But like
saying.
I'm sure
henna
like
has been in
but-
our country before the Arabs came in.
Yeah, but like for how long? As a black people, South Sudanese black, like South Sudanese people.
But also, not
I'm sure
all
we
South
had our
Sudanese are
own
dark-skinned,
traditions
though.
about how we
Exactly.
handled.
I think
Like-
even those that
Yeah,
are.
I think
like,
you're
I mean,
bullshit.
I want to say this one. I want to say this one thing. It's like everything that we have has been like done by something else. So like I'd say like pastoralism for an example. That's like one thing South Sudanese are known for, right? We're known for having like millions of cattle. That's something that originated in the Middle East, but nobody says anything like that. Why? Because we got it from them like so long ago. Like it doesn't even matter anymore. So it's like I understand you. There has to be like a line where you have to draw, where you have to keep your own thing. But at the same time, like there's nothing wrong with like appropriating other people's cultures as long as you don't do it in like a bad way,
But I think the issue and the controversy
But,
behind it is when
sorry,
we talk about
Christine, can I
Arab
ask a-
people.
can I ask Bio
Yeah,
a
go
question?
ahead.
Bio, like, I'm sure we had our own traditions when it comes to marriage before that, right?
Of
I don't know
course.
if you like. I want to know what that was, and I would like to keep doing that. You know what I mean? Like, we can't always just take on other people's.
No, that's a great question, because I think that was the question I asked last time. What is our culture? What was the culture before, we borrowed from Arab culture? What did we do before?
When did the Arabs even come into North Sudan? I think if anybody knows to speak to that.
Well,
600 AD.
The Arabs came in
like
639. 639 AD, they came to Egypt. And by 1504 AD, all of Sudan, North Sudan, was occupied by Arabs, and we were Arabized by that time.
Mm. And a lot of North Africa as well, correct?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So I think that the issue comes when we look at how Arabs also view us as indigenous African people, because Arabs have, North Africa is clearly like all Arab mostly. When you look at Morocco, Tunisia, those countries, a lot of the Arabs feel that they don't consider themselves to be African, even though
Black.
they are African nations within the African continent. They still classify themselves as being Arab. And you will notice when you migrate to some of these countries, or even let's talk about Sudan ourselves, how the southern indigenous people have been treated within our own country, hence us splitting it. So a lot has to do with religion, but it also has to do with discrimination that we felt, and racism flat out. And a lot of us have grown up in Egypt, and we've experienced this as well when you look at Arab nations. So I think that's why there's a lot of pushback when we say, like, okay, we've appropriated Arab culture. But some people are like,
it's like, why? Why
where's
are we
the pride in appropriating their culture when they call you a slave, or they insult
look
you, or they're
down on
racist
you.
towards us,
Yeah.
basically.
I mean, I think it comes down to who at that point is the superior. If the country comes to you and conquers you, then they're going to give you their culture with at the tip of the sword. Are you going to accept it, or you're not going to accept it? If you don't accept it, then you're going to die. So a lot of people where it comes to a point where, like, okay, if the Arabs have came to sub-Saharan Africa, and I don't even like using the word sub-Saharan Africa, because Africa is just whole Africa. But if they come there and this is the culture that they brought, and we grew up in that culture, it's not among us to say, okay, where are we going to draw the line? Because the line is blurred at this point. We don't know which one is which. Like my guy said, like, the whole cattle thing, it came from the Arab side. Are we going to give that all up and be like, okay, no more cattle? So my main point is that as humans, we cannot see each other as the other. We have to see each other as people, and what people brings to the table as far as culture is it has to be blended. And I feel like a lot of times is what happens is that when we are getting into wars and getting into these conflicts, we are seeing the other person as the enemy, when in fact it's the government that's the enemy. It's not Khartoum people who are attacking us. It's the Khartoum government that's attacking us. So if you have family in Khartoum, you're not going to see that person as an enemy, because that person still loves you the same way you love them. It's the government that's attacking you. The same thing that's happening right now with Palestine and Israel. All these conflicts is happening is because it's governments versus governments. It's not the people versus the people.
The
racism aspect of it is there, yes, but that's just how humans are.
My question is like, why as a black people are we always adopting other people's cultures?
Well, when you bring it back to the Israeli-Palestinian conflict, that's really
somebody
important.
had a good question. Like, what did they pick up from us? Why do we take other people's religions?
Shea butter.
Do we take other people's
traditions, culture, language,
like on wedding and all that languages? We literally have to speak other people's languages. Like, what do we have?
It's not though, because a lot of our culture is there that they've taken from us. So mathematics himself started in Kemetic Egypt. That's our culture. Finding true north started in Kemetic Egypt. That's our culture. For them to come in and then take it and incorporate it and say that it's their culture, it's wrong. And this is why a lot of times it's like you have to go back.
So are you saying that it's not their culture and that's actually ours? Because I think that's where the line is. It's like, you're saying that Arab culture is our culture, but what are you saying that they took from us?
Yes, because knowledge started in the Alexandria libraries where knowledge was at. The Alexandria library was where all the books were made, all the books were built, and they came there. When Alexander came through Alexandria at the time, I forgot the name of the city, he took that knowledge and went through the Persian countries and gave those knowledge to the Arabic countries. This is why they started putting algebra. He went all the way to India, So he took our knowledge and took it east.
Right.
So
So
this
I
is
mean,
that's
I
a
wouldn't,
Kemetic
I wouldn't
people.
say, I wouldn't say that though, because like we have like DNA samples of like ancient Egyptians. They still like match Egyptians today. So I wouldn't say it's like too much our culture, but do we have like some of our influences there? Yeah, kind of. But I would kind of disagree on the Kemetic thing, saying
I'll
that it's
say
like
this.
ours and we give it to them.
Why do you
I'll-
disagree?
when I say ours, I'm
'Cause
talking
we
about African continent. I'm not talking about. I'm talking about tribalistic or nation. I'm talking about African continent itself.
All right.
Knowledge itself
yeah,
started in
but
Africa.
Let me clarify.
true.
one
I mean,
thing.
yeah, but like Egyptians, they still consider themselves Arabs to this day.
That's
So it's like-
modern Egypt though. That's not
Yeah,
that's
let's
not
take it
Kemetic.
to David and
Good
let
as-
him
Let me say this one
expand on
thing.
it. Yeah.
I think with us, the reason why we appropriated a lot of cultures is it came down to the eradication of our writing system. Because if you go back to antiquity, if you go back to history, us as Kushites, we had our own writing system, which was kind of synonymous with the Egyptian writing system. So when the Arabs came in 1936 all the way to 1504 AD, they eradicated our writing system. So with the eradication of our own writing system, we could not know our history. We could not retain our history. We couldn't know our history. So now they taught us their alphabets, their Arab alphabets, and they taught us there. Now we were at the mercy of the Arabs, in terms of reading and writing. We were at the mercy of Arabs, because when we had our own writing system, we could write our own history. But when they introduced their own writing system, they introduced their history, and they eradicated our history, and that's how we started appropriating their cultures.
Can you touch on language as
think
well?
after that.
Because we clearly in Sudan we speak Arabic. That is like our
Main language.
Main language.
Yeah.
I know in South Sudan English is the
The
official
official?
language since we split. But like down to language, like we speak Arabic as the one unifying language that everyone of South Sudanese or Sudanese descent can relate to. How did that? Does anyone know how that even came about to where we all started speaking Arabic?
I mean, we should ask David. He can speak on that, but I'm sure it wasn't like
You mean Bjork?
consensual. Bior, yeah,
Yeah,
sorry,
yeah.
Bior. Yeah, we'll let Bior speak on that, but like I'm sure it wasn't consensual. Like you can't just come to people and tell them speak my language.
Mhm.
and they
Absolutely,
just
yeah,
take
it's
it.
like
It's
a
like
result
English
of
as well with the
colonialism.
British.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. But yeah, go ahead.
I
Bior.
think it's just because I think it's just because like they probably had like the most like political like influence. I think that's mainly the thing, because that once you're like at that position, it's just easier because you're controlling institutions and like governments, and you control schools. So it's like it's just a lot easier, you know. Like if Dinkas are in control of everything, I can just say, okay, like in schools we're gonna teach in Dinka, you're gonna speak Dinka. If we're gonna have classes on Dinka, everyone's gonna learn Dinka, and then I can just kind of like do it that way, and then people will just start learning that way. But I do want to disagree with I don't know, I forgot your name, but what you said earlier with the Kushite language.
What color shirt?
David, you're talking about David?
What color
Black
shirt?
say black
Yeah,
shirt
David.
next to
Oh,
you and,
David.
Yeah.
David. No?
yeah, David.
Okay.
Yeah, I want to say like I kind of disagree. Not that like because I don't think the Arabs were the ones who like erased the Kushite language. Because by the time the Kushite language were gone, Nubians, they were already writing with like Greek alphabets in their own
No,
like new
I
language.
didn't say they eradicated our language. I said our writing system. We had our own
Oh, yeah,
alphabets
even that
and writing
too.
system. I didn't say the language. The languages are still there, but our own writing
Uh.
system. We don't have our own alphabets. We don't have our own writing system. That's what I said.
Okay, yeah. Even that too, I'd say like I'm not really sure, because by the time the Arabs even came, the Kushite writing system was already gone. They were already using Greek alphabets as their writing system, you know? But I guess you can say maybe they would have like changed that. But I mean, yeah, other than that though, I'm not really sure.
But
Yeah,
language is a great topic. Who
and
here?
I think I can tie it
Yeah.
down to as far as language itself. Well, so the language itself is connected to economy. Is about who's bringing the money and who's taking the money as far as trades. So when a country conquers you and now you are trading with that person, like say America, you're going to incorporate the country of the trading partner that you're with. So this is the reason why even now in South Africa they are incorporating Mandarin, because they're trading with the Chinese. They're incorporating Mandarin in a lot of aspects of countries in Africa as far as their educational system, is because they're trading mostly with Chinese people. So the Arab language came in because they were our predominant trading partners at that time. And then once the British conquered Egypt and Sudan, we incorporated English because now they're our biggest trading partners. So I think a lot of it is just tied to that as far as who's bringing in the money. If you want to make money, which language do I need to learn to trade my cattle to bring in whatever that needs to come back in. So that's kind of, I think that's where the language comes in.
Since we're talking about language, does anybody here speak their native tongue, like their native tribal language? Anybody?
I do.
Got like 50%. I'm not fully there, but I feel like
let's hear it. Can you say hi, hello
in your language? And first of all, what tribe are you? And then can you say, hey, how are you? Or just introduce yourself in your language.
So Yana Joach Malongwi, Yinapiol, that's like, you know what I'm saying, hi. Mine is kind of down just because I've been in college and not around the culture much.
Good. That's, you can introduce
and that's like going to preserving the, you know, cultures. Like I feel like I should have, you know, contacted more relatives that could help me with that
So
topic.
when you have kids, do you want your kids to be able to speak?
100%.
Yeah.
But
so how
for that
are
to
you
happen,
gonna...
I got to learn it all.
Yeah.
Right.
So how do you plan to like teach your kids and like
I got to put in the effort.
Yeah.
Right. Because a lot of these, like say around my age, you know, the guys that I know, we're not surrounded by our culture. We're more surrounded by American culture. So we're gonna go with what supports us the most, or like what's calling our name.
Yeah.
So if I feel I can make it through this culture, I'm gonna go through that culture.
Right.
I'm not there. I'm not in Sudan right now.
Yeah.
So might as well be
really fast.
African-American.
The Dinka.
Yeah.
Introduce yourself.
The Dinka.
The Dinka.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah. Hey, listen. I'm learning.
I know. Yeah. Good. Yeah. Good.
Can you can speak your language?
Can you speak it?
Yes, I can speak my language.
Wow.
Let's hear something.
Yeah.
How did you speak it? So did your parents speak it in the home?
Is my like the crazy thing is like my dad always works for the UN in South Sudan. And when we were living in Kenya, like he would go back to Sudan and come back, you know, back and forth. But when he would come home, he would be like, you don't speak any other language in here. Like besides Dinka, you know?
Yeah.
And so he would enforce that rule. And then like you had to learn it. Like you had to be able to speak it. Otherwise you can't communicate.
Wow. Is your mom Dinka as well?
Yes.
Okay.
They're both Dinka.
I think that helps, don't you think?
Yeah. It does, definitely.
Right.
And like, but the crazy thing is like, even within my family, like my like the older siblings, we know Dinka. And it's because we speak it to our parents.
Right.
Like, you know?
Right.
But the thing is like, even within my own family, I speak 3 different languages. Like I speak to my parents in Dinka, and then I speak to my older siblings in Swahili because that's what we learned growing up.
Wow.
And then the younger ones, like I speak to them in English. It's like
so
3
no
different.
Arabic
Yeah.
at all.
It's like no, not in this
wow. That's
household.
different. That's different. That's different.
Yeah. So it's like it's hard.
Mm.
It's really hard to keep up a language that you don't have people around to speak
Especially
it.
if you don't end up marrying a Dinka woman. Can you tell us?
Even if I did end up marrying a Dinka woman, it's like we would probably end up speaking English. And even within my our own households, like I always tell my Dinka tribe members that I meet and whatever, like it's like the only Dinka that I know is father and mother son conversations. You know what I mean? I don't know like peer-to-peer conversations because it's like it's a whole different language. But like I know how to talk to my mom and my dad in that language.
Can you introduce yourself so we can hear a little bit of your mother tongue?
Yeah. Ngane ta gaya ngane will lokiro. Aku na diringash. Aku ningite jagalo tuke.
Wow. So what does that mean?
It means my name is Willie Lokiru. I come from a beautiful place in the Dinka Mountains called Otuke.
All my Dinka people, please comment, like.
That sounds like a Lion King introduction right there.
Period.
Yeah. But it's hard to like going back to your question. Like it's hard. Like I know for my younger siblings, it's hard as hell. Like my mom will speak to them in Dinka and they answer back in English. They can hear it, understand it, but it doesn't. Yeah. They can't. Get
I think
it out
that's
of their
normal
mouth.
for a lot of us in diaspora because I do the same. Like I can understand it 100%, but I'll struggle to respond because naturally I'll always respond in English. But I only feel comfortable talking to my other people who have broken Arabic because then it's like they won't judge me.
Yeah.
But it's hard because you grow up here, you hear it, you understand 100% what they're saying. But when it comes time to, I don't know, there's like this mental lag that happens.
For sure.
It's like the way your brain thinks, you have to translate it before you
and I
spit it
think
out.
in English as well. So
exactly,
I think that's interesting for people, you know. So Blue Nile, I know your brother said a little bit, but
so I'm Dinka BA and Chubak, you know Pyogu.
Okay.
So you say
what does that mean?
Translate it for
so
the people who are
basically,
not.
hey, how are you doing today? And like
Okay.
shake hands, you know.
Yeah.
Wow.
And
do you sing in your tribal language?
So I'm trying to get more comfortable with it. So a year ago, so I went to Sudan and I only spoke Dinka, so I got way better than what I used to do. So
that helps a lot.
So I'm trying to get way better. So it's like 60%.
Yeah, I think being in a space where people are speaking nothing but that, because I went to my cousin's wedding and like everyone was speaking Arabic Juba. So then I felt comfortable responding here and there. And then all of a sudden I was like just speaking in Arabic again. So I think it's because we only speak to each other in English that it makes it hard for us to like do that switch, you know? So I think speaking in your language
and
more
then the parents
will help.
Still be judgmental. When I went to Sudan, and I was speaking Dinka. It was like I was hanging out with the little kids because they could speak back to me.
Yeah.
When my cousins and stuff, they were like, "Oh, you're not supposed to say it like this."
They're making fun of you.
Yeah, they were looking at me. My grandma would laugh. So it's
we're like
it's
the
about
Americans.
their surrounding too. So.
And David, I know that you guys we're half and half.
Yeah, we're half Nuer.
So
half
I'm putting
Dinka.
you and David on the spot. Sarah, can you say anything? But first, David, I already know you.
Malmagua before he does it for me. Malmagua, that's how are you? And
that's it.
And Nuer, and then So
what about Dinka?
And Dinka in Paul.
Yeah.
Okay,
that's good, right? How
David?
are you?
Well,
in Paul.
First of all,
go ahead.
Sorry. I'm very proud of these young people here.
Wow.
Because they grew up here.
Yeah.
And they're still retaining their culture. And I wanted to ask Willie, how do you say hello in the Dinka?
Agutino.
Agutino.
Yeah.
Agutino.
Yeah, Agutino.
That's nice. I like that.
It sounds like it's good to know. That's good to know.
You said. And you say Abuna.
Abuna.
Yeah, Agutino, Abuna.
Oh, that's nice. Mm-hmm. So my family, we are mixed, both Dinka and Nuer. And my grandfather was a Nuer, and he was the only son to his parents.
Sorry, grandfather from which side?
My grandfather from my dad's side.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so my dad's dad, which is my grandfather, he's a Nuer.
Oh, okay.
He came from Bentiu. And so he was the only son to his parents, and he migrated to Dinka land. He went to Rumbek. So he was adopted by the chief of Rumbek. So the chief of Rumbek took him in, and he became like his son. So my dad was like a prince. He was my grandfather was like a prince in Rumbek. He was adopted by the chief of that time of Rumbek at that particular time. Being the only son to his mom and dad, he married many wives. So my grandfather had at least, I would say, about 16 to 24 wives.
Wow.
My grandfather. And he had so many children. So he married all Dinka wives, all Dinka women. And he had many, many, many children. So I guess to him, because he was the only child, he wanted to have many children. And indeed, he had a lot of children. And they were all Dinka women that he had married. So my grandfather was assimilated into the Dinka tribe. And then my father, Makir Benjamin, was born in Rumbek. And so, and all of his children and all of my grandfather's children were all born Rumbek. So we all assimilated into the Dinka culture. So we don't really know much about our Nuer side, but we're very assimilated with the Dinka culture. So we half and half. We are both Dinka and both Nuer. They're both beautiful tribes, beautiful culture, but we come from both tribes.
Nice.
Yeah.
And which language do you feel most comfortable communicating in?
Well, I grew up speaking 6 languages.
Wow.
So I grew up speaking Amharic, I grew up speaking Nuer language, and I grew up speaking Dinka. And then I also learned Swahili, Arabic, and English. So when I was a little boy, I spoke Dinka and I spoke Nuer when I was a little boy. But over time, I forgot the Nuer language. But I communicate more in the Dinka language because that is the language, that is the tribe that I grew up in, and that's the culture that I'm more familiar with.
Yeah, but we represent both. Like
both tribes.
Yeah, we take both tribes.
Yeah, they're both our people.
Yeah, but it's just, I mean, we're literally the same people at the end of the day.
Right.
Like the Dinka and Nuer people.
Yeah. Can you introduce us or say something to us in Dinka?
Ekadiwa Gapwal. Juba.
I love it.
What does that mean for all of our non?
That is just greetings, formal greetings. How are you all doing? And hope you are all well.
Yeah.
Okay, and Neil, I already know you speak it too.
Yeah, we want to hear something in Dinka. Let's
something
hear it.
different. Something different.
So I'm Dinka Bor, and my Dinka is a little whitewashed, I would say.
That's
so
okay.
meaning like I'm kind of like my slang is a little off. So when I went back to South Sudan, I went back last year in 2022. I had a headache because like Willie would say you'd have to translate all that. So they were speaking like the proper plural everything, and I was just, my brain is like trying to translate everything. So I had a headache, and it was hot out there. But other than that, like I understood most of everything, and the children did make fun of me because it's not proper South Sudan. It's not proper Dinka. But what I can say is, I can say my name, Ania Chol Nyel Amol, and Anyana Juang, and Warir to know Ben Koli Buku Jam Piet. So basically, what I'm saying is, we're all sitting here so we can talk very well and communicate really well.
I love that.
Beautiful.
Yeah, and I've actually been learning. I want to start writing in my language, in the Dinka Boer language. So I've been watching a YouTube channel. This guy, he goes by Ajag Deng Chinkuk. That's a Dinka guy, and he teaches. He basically has like a classroom. He teaches how to write in Dinka, spell in Dinka, colors in Dinka, and then also there's this other woman. She's on Instagram and she's on YouTube, and she speaks Tognat. And I'm an actress, so I've done some YouTube series, and I was acting with some Nuer individuals. And I heard them speaking Tognat, and I was like interested. I was like, oh, that's pretty.
Doesn't it sound so similar to Dinka?
It does, yeah. I think we're brothers, same people.
Yeah,
siblings.
It's unfortunate that we have that like
Divide.
divide.
Oh, we're gonna touch on that shortly.
Yeah,
we gotta get into it, but
I think it's interesting that nowadays, like I think everyone with social media and with information out there, and people being able, kind of like using platforms like YouTube, being able to teach. You're able to teach your kids
YouTube University.
Yeah, how to preserve your language, learn your language, and also write in that. So yeah, I think it's pretty interesting.
All right, and
cool.
Young Butter.
Mine's probably gonna be the shortest.
Can you speak it first?
No, I can't speak it. Okay. I only speak English, and my Juba Arabic comes only when I'm like lit.
Oh. Okay.
So my introduction is very low as far as my father he speaks it because we mostly speak Bari and Nyambara, so he speaks a lot of languages. But as far as our household themselves, we grew up in Cairo, so we spoke Arabic Masri for the most part, and then once we came to America, we kind of just assimilated with American because we was the only Sudanese family in Florida for the longest, so we just kind of lost a lot of that part of that culture as far as Arabic. Because now when they speak to me, I know exactly what they're saying, and I can reply. Typically, I reply in English, but as far as the language itself, talking to like my cousins and them, they speak fluent Arabic, and I can't.
What tribe are you again?
Nyambara.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, Björk, can you speak your
language?
Wait.
So he said you can say hi. Can you greet us?
He said only if he's lit.
I can't even say Nyambara. No, well, I speak Arabic.
Well,
yeah. So salam alaikum is the.
So let me interject because my dad. That's the thing. My dad is Bari and my mom's Mundu and Bidaria. So Bari speakers, I don't know how to speak it fluently, but I do know how to say banda, and then they say nyanabut. So that's the introduction. And like Bari speakers, like I think it's Bari, Pojulu,
Kakwa.
Foju, like what there's like another one. There's like two. It's a big group of Bari speakers.
Yeah.
So please don't.
Go ahead. We're waiting. Go ahead.
No, that was it.
You're not gonna speak.
And lokore, that means meat. That's the only three things I know how to say.
Okay.
Pio. Water.
Yeah, I don't know any
They
of
say
that.
pure.
Pew.
They
That's
say
so
pew.
similar. That's like
Yeah.
pew. And
Yeah.
It's like no.
It's
The
water.
crazy thing about all these languages is like the
They're
basic
similar.
things sound so
So similar.
Oh,
like
my
water
family
or
is gonna
like
be
you know like
so
fire or
disappointed.
like
Yeah.
all the basic things are very similar, and it's
Mhm.
because like
We all come from
we
Originate.
all
It's
we
originate,
all
yeah.
come from together. It's just
Yeah.
like cows, because
Right.
we all love cows. It's like it all sounds
Yeah.
the same.
Yeah.
It's crazy. Milk, like the basic things are all like just
So
a different
similar.
version,
Right.
in
Yeah,
each
dialect.
tribe.
But just
It's because
to,
we're all
to
together,
touch
like
on that,
come from together. Yeah.
Yeah.
we
and I'd
we,
like to,
we are, but in South Sudan, I know we talked about like should South Sudan and Sudan have split because people were like, Arab culture, all that. When we talk about the two largest tribes in South Sudan is Dinka and Nuer. And that's a great topic about like we have so much in common. But a lot of people, for us in diaspora, it's different because we don't live back in South Sudan, so we don't necessarily understand what they go through on a day to day. But a lot of other tribes, I know I'm Equatorian, I can speak from my tribe that I've heard that when you go back home, there's this conversation of, is there a such thing as Dinka privilege?
Tribalism.
Tribalism, but with Dinka and Nuer being the two biggest tribes and being at odds with each other, is there such thing as Dinka privilege in South Sudan, number one? And number two, do you feel like there's equal representation when it comes to leadership in politics, in our government, for all tribes to be equally represented? And I'll leave that for our panel. Yeah, go ahead, Neil.
So I'd like to answer that. So, well, to my best knowledge, when I came back from South Sudan, it was my first time visiting since I was born there. So there is a representation in the political field. So there's 5 vice presidents, and all those 5 vice presidents, from what I've seen and what I've observed, they represent each tribe. So there's Dinka, there's Nuer, y'all help me.
Equatorian.
Equatorian.
Equatorian is many tribes.
Yeah,
but
and then
Yeah.
there's 5 vice presidents. So I think there's a representation there.
So you feel like it's not a thing?
No, it is.
Okay.
I'm Dinka myself, so I would say Dinka privilege, it is real, kind of like how it is in America. Here there's white privilege, but the thing is, going back to what Tariq said about the majority. If the majority is the one who's kind of in control, there's going to be privilege naturally.
Okay.
There's going to be privilege there, and also if you look back, like the main people that fought in the war were the 2 tribes. The majority of them were Nuer and Dinka, and then there were some sub-tribes there. So that's why they're kind of overhead over everybody.
Can
That's
we
why I don't know.
define Dinka privilege?
Yes, define it.
I don't think it's like a thing that's been physically defined yet, like have a set definition. But I think that I feel like other tribes can say that they don't feel like they're necessarily represented when it comes to politics, or they feel like nepotism comes into play a lot when people get elected into certain positions. And a lot of the times it's not necessarily what you know, as opposed to
It's like what tribe you
who
are.
you know, or like knowing the right people to be able to get empowered, to be able to get positions to where you're able to like make a living for your family and be able to receive a good salary and things of that nature.
And
So
even if you want to even go further, like violence against certain tribes in South Sudan, and how certain tribes are treated over the other. I guess here for us in the diaspora, we don't necessarily experience the whole political side of it, but maybe like representation, I think we can speak to that. Like a lot of times Dinka or Nuer faces are the ones who represent South Sudanese. I don't even know a lot of like other influencers outside of Dinka or Nuer. Like we know Nima, she's Nuer. We know the supermodels are either Dinka or Nuer. So it's like, for me, I experience it through representation, but it also goes deeper for the people who live in our homeland. So that
I think naturally, like for example, if somebody was like pick a random South Sudanese from South Sudan, like most chances are that person is gonna be either Dinka or Nuer. Like in terms of populations, those are the biggest populations. But in terms of like privilege, like mostly like there is but to what level I cannot say because I'm not there, so I don't really know much. But from what I've heard from the people that I know, they feel like in terms of like in a place like Juba, like they feel like people who are a certain tribe, Dinka, are like getting more jobs or like like and it's because of who do you know, and it's like who's in charge. People who are in charge will get people that they know or people that come from where they come from and put them in positions of power, and so I'm sure there is a level of that,
Yeah. And
Yeah.
just to speak on Juba, before we split in 2011, I can speak as a Bari person. My father is Bari, and both of his mom and dad were Bari. We considered Juba to be Bari land before the split. So that was our ancestral land where our farmland, our ancestors are buried. So when it became the capital of South Sudan, a lot of Bari people felt like they were being pushed out of their ancestral homeland. And when I grew up before the split, my dad used to tell me stories about Jubek, who Juba was named after. So I feel like it kind of hurts a little bit when it's like, okay, now this is the capital of the country, which is beautiful. Now we have our own country, but like, where does that leave us as a people?
It's overtaken
where are we
by
gonna go? Now we're having to fight, like, so yeah. So I just wanted to
And
touch on
that's a
that.
very
I
good
think
point.
it's like a.
Yes,
I'll
come.
I'll
Willie
let you go
Bucky.
ahead.
Yeah.
But it's like I think that's the plight of Equatorian people in general, but mainly like Central Equatorian people, the people that were in Egypt. I mean, in Juba, because Juba was the reason it became like the capital is because it was the center of trade. Like if you had something that somebody else wants,
In the South.
yeah, in South Sudan, that's where you went to take it, to find the buyers and sellers. It was like the biggest city in the area.
Right.
And then now in the modern society, trying to make it a capital, people came in, and I think I've heard about that and read about that a little bit. It's like people's lands being taken away forcefully, not being repaid for it, and like people being literally killed and no one answering or saying anything about it. So yeah, I can understand why people, and that's their homeland especially, so I
Right.
can understand why the people who were originally from that area have the plight that they have.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's-
Did you guys ever
That's a
hear
good
about
point.
the Equatorian separatist movement?
No.
I haven't heard
Yeah,
about
I've
it.
heard of it.
No?
Because Dinka and Nuer are the biggest two tribes, but Equatorians are not one tribe. I think
Yes.
it's
We're a
important.
bunch of small
It's
tribes
a lot of smaller
together in that
tribes
area,
that band.
yeah.
There's Eastern
Mhm.
Equatorian, Western
Mhm.
Equatorian, Central
Central.
Equatorian that make up Equatorian.
Mm.
So Equatorians in general, yes, our population is a huge population, but Dinka and Nuer are one separate tribe.
It's a region.
Yeah.
Like
But
we're literally
it
we're
is a
named
thing.
after the region that we're in.
Yeah,
But
but
we're
it
a
is
bunch
a
of
thing,
small
the separatist
tribes.
movement that he's speaking to.
Mhm.
It does exist, and basically it's kind of the same thing with what we had with Sudan and
You-
South Sudan splitting.
Do you want to
Now
break it down, Bior?
Equatorians
Do you
are
want to
trying
explain
to-
it to
yeah.
us?
Bio, yeah, can you
Bio,
tell
Yeah,
us
let
about
him
I mean,
break it.
Can I ask?
I don't know too much about it, yo. I just see
Oh.
like aunties and uncles yelling on Clubhouse and Facebook about it, and just
Right.
being like, "Oh, the Dinka this, the Dinka that," Jenge government and all this
Yeah.
stuff. But, yeah.
I think it comes down to
It's kind of fun.
representation. At the end of the day, there's no right or wrong, but I think with Equatorian people, I think it's about representation, and it's also about being othered sometimes when it comes to the conversation of who are South Sudanese people. Sometimes we're told that we are not South Sudanese, that we're originally from Uganda, originally from
So
Kenya.
somebody did that.
So it's
like,
insulting
me.
to us because, like you said,
I was having a
Juba's
conversation with
Bariland. How
someone,
can you
and they
say
were
we're
like,
not South Sudanese? Yeah,
and it wasn't even a controversial topic. We were just talking,
Yeah.
and they're like, "Oh,
you guys
you're
didn't fight.
Ugandan." I'm like,
Yeah.
"Yo, I'm darker than you.
Yeah.
I'm most like."
So it's
If
like
any-
you guys
if
are
anybody's
not
more South
even from
Sudanese
here, and then you guys didn't
Yeah.
fight in the war. So it's like,
Mm,
stay out of this. Like,
yeah,
South Sudan is not even for y'all. Like, y'all not even really South Sudanese. I think that's the problem because it's like.
So
Yeah, and that's
Well, let me say
that's
this.
problematic.
I'll let
That's
David
problematic.
go to
Let me say
David and
this.
then Neil.
Yeah.
You guys have raised some very, very good points. First of all, the separatist movement that you guys spoke about here, it's based on federalism.
Mm-hmm.
So there are people in South Sudan who want federalism. and they want Equatoria to belong to Equatorians only. They want Dinka land to belong to Dinka land only, and Zande land to belong to Zande land only. So when we talk about that, we're talking about federalism. So in the final analysis, it's like we're creating separate countries. It's like South Sudan is breaking away from South Sudan, and we're becoming our own separate countries. Equatoria is becoming a different country. Zande is becoming a different country. Dinka lands are becoming separate countries. That's separatism. It's not going to help neither one of us. It's not going to help anyone. But then again, about Juba, it is very true. Like a lot of our Equatorian brothers and sisters, they felt hurt for a long time because of the things that either the Dinka or the Nuer did to them. And I'll be honest, we've done bad things. I mean, we've all done bad things to each other. Nuers have done bad things to Dinka. Dinka have violated Nuer. Nuer and Dinka have violated Equatorians. Equatorians have violated Dinka and Nuer, and vice versa. We have all hurt each other.
And then even
we've all done bad things to each other.
Too? Even like in the Dinka, like Dinka BA, Dinka Tush, Dinka, all these Dinkas still hurt each other.
And also within the Dinka clans, we're also against each other. And also within Equatorians, there's also Equatorians clashes, and also between Dinka there's clashes. So here's the thing: when South Sudan became an independent country in 2011, the reason why Juba was chosen to become the capital is not because the people suddenly decided we want to take land from anyone, but we wanted to get away as far as we could from the Arabs. So if the capital was in central, because at that time when we gained independence, things were very uncertain. And anytime at any moment, any clash could occur between the Northerners and the Southerners. It was imminent. So for security reasons and for the government to secure the safety of our people, we wanted our capital to be as far away from the Arabs as we could. And so the farthest point in South Sudan was to come to Juba. And Juba became, like my brother said, it was a trading area. That's one point. But the second point, it was also very secure, and it was very far from the Arabs. So if any time the Arabs decided to invade South Sudan, those in Juba,
time to prepare.
We were far away from them, and we could flee at any time. So it was for safety precautions that that Juba was chosen for that reason, and for many other reasons, But when we talk about separatism and federalism, that it doesn't help each other. I think all of us we have something to offer.
Yeah, I feel like
so.
If for example, I'll just say shortly, I agree with you because I think everybody thought that when we split into North and South, we'd have peace, and we realized our problems didn't go away. It's just
now we're fighting amongst ourselves.
Problem with a smaller country,
instead of fighting the Arabs.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it's now we can deal with the other issue that
now
we have,
it's like tribalism between the southern.
It's like we have to actually deal with our issues.
Yeah. Right, it's like we unified in order to fight the North, and then now it's like, okay, we got that. Now it's like our next issue.
Yeah.
All right.
And then what? We're going to divide into smaller countries, and then
even if you have a Dinka state,
like
Blue now said, now it's going to be Dinka board, Dinka
Exactly. Now we was never state, and then Dinka wants their own state. It's like, when do we stop?
Exactly. But this is the thing. Like the vision of South Sudan started with John Garang when he proposed what South Sudan should be, which at the beginning was 32 states drawn up through tribal land, so that each tribe will have a head of state that can represent them in government. Even the capital city itself was not supposed to be Juba. He proposed a new capital city called Ramchel. To become the new city, instead of going and taking like you said Bari land or Equatorian land.
It was called New Site.
Ramchel was the actual name though. The actual name itself was Ramchel, Ramciel. So the main proposal as far as 32 states drawn up through tribal representation is that it gives you representation as a republic, instead of having power centralized in Juba as with only whoever is in power, because at the end of the day, whoever's in power is going to be the majority. So it's always going to be Dinka. If it's a true democracy, is going to be Dinka. So the issue becomes, okay, let's give each of the tribal statehood, so now they can represent their states in government. But what happened is that once he passed away, and then the government wanted to centralize their power into one. They stated, okay, let's draw down the states. Go down now, I think it's 10. When you have only 10 states, you are able to control more of that power within themselves instead of 32 states in those tribal, because within those 10 states, there's gonna be multiple tribes, like she said, BAO and all those people. They're all they're fighting each other in those 10 states, and there's no common vision within that one state. So I think that's what it is. Is like a lot of times that we're seeing from the central government, they want these people warring each other, because at that point is that they can control as far as the narrative that goes out from there.
Right. And Neil, I think you wanted to say something.
I just wanted to touch based on what you said earlier about the majority in the population, like the differences you said with Christine, like the different lands and the Equatorian lands, that there's the population is actually large. It's just that it's scattered.
Right.
So then that makes the majority of the population Nuer and Dinka.
Yeah, and as Equatorians, we would be the third largest, but we're not. You guys are literally one tribe, and Equatorians are many tribes. Yeah,
because I think it's in itself, the Zande tribe is the biggest, but they're broken into Central Africa and South Sudan.
Right. So yeah, this conversation, it's so complex. Like we just got to keep it going because it's just so much to touch on. But I want to give Bior a chance to jump in there and like any final thoughts or do you want to touch on, just in case you didn't have a chance to jump in there. Okay.
You felt everything. You felt the conversation. You're like,
I want to ask you: do you think that being you a Dinka person, but obviously in diaspora, we're not speculating, but we're speaking on things that don't affect us directly because we don't live back home. But these are things that are said here and there. Do you think that is a thing? And what do you think that we can do as a people? Because obviously there's this conversation of should we have split from Sudan to South Sudan because we split for a reason and now we're fighting amongst ourselves. How do you think that we can come together as South Sudanese and be able to build up our land and like prosper as a people?
I mean, all I can really say is that we just shouldn't really expect anything to be perfect, you know? Because I think like just looking into like a little bit, just knowing just a little bit about like South Sudanese tribal history, even before Sudan was a thing, it's like people are already fighting with each other, tribes are already having conflict. So it's like we shouldn't really expect
it goes way back.
Yeah, we shouldn't really expect to be like all buddy like now just because we have a country together now, but I mean, yeah, and even too, like I was even thinking, like since a lot of African countries have like problems with corruption, I don't even know if like this whole like government like nation state system is like even for us. I don't know if it's like meant to work for us, you know? Like it worked for the Americans, but like for us, I think our societies are kind of different. So I don't know if we would need to find like a whole new system entirely or just try our best to make this one work. But yeah, it's like just a lot of stuff really to think about.
So can we challenge that a little bit? Because tag me in. My favorite brother said tag me in. Because like let's be a little bit lighter about this. Because everybody just
Emmanuel's on the mic.
I see
Emmanuel's
anger.
back. Yeah, don't be surprised.
I think we need a joyous nature to it, because at the end of the day, we are a country now. There's no going back now at this point. So why are we not focusing on encouraging the youth to take away the scars, to understand what happened in their history, but not focus specifically on that, and then focus on the future of building together? So why are we not showing each other love? Because at the end of the day, I saw this Nuera shawty, thick as hell, and I was rocking with her. And then I saw this Twitch shawty, tall as hell. I was like, genetics. I'm just saying,
we get it.
Like, come on, like
we're one people.
Yeah, we're one people.
And that's what we touched on a lot in the Pan-Africanism conversation about how us as Black people, African people, we always try to separate ourselves and fight amongst ourselves based on tribes and everything, but we are the most marginalized people as a group. So if we really pay attention to what's going on, we're fighting these small battles amongst ourselves.
But and it's
interesting
because we talked about
one people.
Yeah, we talked about Pan-Africanism, but we're still even figuring it out within South Sudan.
Exactly.
So that speaks to how complicated, how layered. I mean, yeah.
Well, that's the problem.
Let me challenge that by saying that, like, oh, my dog is from a different. All of us right now at this point.
Years ago, we got into a war between each other, Nuer and Dinkas, because of just tribe, and so we're still
Yeah.
figuring out the interpersonal
Well,
parts of
When you
Were we
look at the
beefing like
Asian
that?
world, when you look at
Were we
the,
beefing like that
when
here?
you look at the Europeans, when you
Because
look
during that war,
when you look at everyone else, they might fight amongst themselves, but when it comes to anything that has to do with us, boom, they all like up in arms.
Like-
they're united
No,
on
like-
that
yeah,
part.
no, like
you
You know
know?
the
Emmanuel,
difference
you know
between
why?
us and the Europeans?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so Europeans have had a
World
lot of
War.
wars.
Mm.
They have a
That's
lot of
true.
wars.
Huge wars,
But-
world wars.
We
By
just-
the way,
But why do Europeans war? Europeans always go to war in order to unite themselves. So if one European country is leaving leaving the establishment of the Europeans,
Right.
all the Europeans they go and get that country. They
Yeah,
war against
bring
that
it back
country
by force.
to bring it back into the union.
Mm-hmm.
But us Africans, we war to separate ourselves.
And we're weak, and we are weaker
So
and weaker and weaker
the-
because of it.
The United Kingdom had a lot of wars, so many wars, but all the wars was to unite the United Kingdom.
Mm-hmm.
outside
So-
of the
no,
Irish,
it was to,
outside,
no,
outside
it was
of
to
the
gain
Irish.
territory too as well.
Yeah, that's what-
No,
conquer
I'm saying like
and-
within
They did some
themselves,
horrible
within
things.
themselves.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Within
yeah.
themselves, the Europeans they war within each other to stay intact, but then they were always intact to go and fight with other people.
Yeah.
But Europeans fought each other to be intact. So
and they came
one
together
European
to
country,
colonize Africa. That's one thing
Yeah.
they came together on. Like, all right, there's this continent. It's uninhabited for what we know. How are we going to go in? So the French, the British, everyone came. So when it comes to, like I said,
Spanish.
they're able to unite and achieve things where we're fighting over peanuts. You know,
Here's the
while
problem.
our
Here's the problem with
resources
that.
are
Can I
getting
say something?
stolen.
Is the question,
Yeah.
is it because we don't see eye to eye in what we want to unite on?
No, it's because our government isn't as united as their government. Because their government was able to use the propaganda to their advantage.
Emmanuel,
We have
Emmanuel,
never learned how to
Emmanuel,
use
the
propaganda. the way
government is a
they're used.
representation of the people.
Yes, but here's
Like-
the
the
big
people
problem.
are not united.
I think we
Here's
don't know
the
we don't
thing.
know the meaning of unity. We don't know what
Yeah.
it means to be united.
Here's my biggest thing. It's like even with America, it's super divided, but we're still united when it comes to war, right?
That's-
In the early 2000s, we united to a certain war. Why? Because there was great propaganda and there was a great government that was able to teach the people or coerce the people to a specific ideal of the same hatred.
Y'all are missing the fact
Yeah,
that
yeah.
these
Unity.
colonial powers, they fight wars in order to gain for themselves.
Power,
yeah.
Where
Mhm.
Africa, we fight in detriment. Like the more we fight, the more we're in debt. The more our
Yeah, while
economy
we're
goes down.
fighting ourselves, they're stealing our land.
Exactly.
and-
Yeah.
Like
Yeah,
no,
so-
our
Right, that's what I'm saying.
economy is
There's
going
no
down.
Right.
Like we're,
common
we're not
Our-
able
our
to
people are
employ
dying.
people. Exactly,
Like,
people
straight
are
up.
dying. We're people who are scholars who are
We're-
going to be
you
future
see,
teachers,
like-
doctors.
why are we all here? It's because
War.
It's
Yeah,
because
civil
like we got
unrest.
displaced because of the war.
Yeah.
You know,
Exactly.
like in another
That's
world,
what diaspora
in
is.
another world,
We're
we'd be
seeking
all
refuge.
chilling in Juba, like you know,
Right.
just
But
hanging
But
out.
we fight in
But
detriment
that's
to
not-
ourselves, where
Mhm.
these colonial powers or superpowers go to war if it benefits them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
To
We
conquer
speak
new
of
land,
unity.
you know.
Exactly.
Like,
So
we
to
speak-
bring it to David, please define what unity would look like for us, just to wrap it up, because we got
Yeah,
to part.
we
We
gotta
got to take this to
seven.
a new segment. We are up
So
on
we
time. Yeah.
speak of unity. Unity does not mean uniformity. It doesn't mean we all have to look alike. It doesn't mean we all have to be the same. That's not what unity is. If you go to a botanical, like a flower garden, you see so many different arraignments of different types of flowers, different heights, different shapes, different colors. And that's what makes a botanical beautiful. That's what makes a garden beautiful. That the fact it has so many different types of flowers. That's what makes a garden beautiful. So in the context of South Sudan, we have 64 tribes. We have over 200 languages. If we all spoke Dinka languages, Sudan would be a very boring place. If we all spoke the Nuer language, it would be a boring place. If we all spoke Equatorian tribes languages, it would be very boring. But God has blessed us that we have so many different languages, so many different cultures, so many different
Cultures,
traditions.
traditions.
Yeah.
That's what makes our country beautiful, is that our country is a very colorful place. Now, we're all different. We shouldn't want to be all the same. We should all strive to be different in our own unique aspects. The Dinka are unique, the Nuer are unique, the Equatorians are unique, the Zandes are unique. Everyone is unique in their own aspect. Now we can learn from each other. I can learn from Equatorians. I can learn so many from the Equatorian tribe, things that they do different from my culture. The Nuer can learn so much from me, things that they do different from me. I can learn from Nuer, the Nuer can learn from the Dinka, Zande can learn from the Equatorian. Now, if we all embrace our differences and we all celebrate our differences. That's what is going to unite us.
Yeah,
Amen.
and we
That's
have a
what
lot
unity
more
is.
in common than
Motherfucker,
what
man.
we
Yeah.
have in differences. So
Yeah.
Exactly.
yeah,
This
but
nigga's
we're gonna
spitting.
have to. Yeah, that was the perfect way to round out this conversation. Yeah,
Really
we-
quickly. Yeah, that was perfect. I mean, there's
I
no I
can't
could
say
I
anything
could have done
after
it better
that.
myself.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay.
I don't want
And
to.
that's true. That's what makes us unique and beautiful is our differences. So.
Absolutely. So,
Also-
So unite in our differences, but also strive for the same goal.
Right.
Yeah.
and that's
Yeah.
okay. And I actually want to touch on that because sometimes people say, because I know people got onto us about saying our tribes during the intro. They're like, don't say your tribe. This is why tribalism is prevalent. So it's like, where's the balance? Are we not, isn't it not okay for us to be proud of who our tribal like ancestry is from? Or do we just need to just be like all South Sudanese? So, you know.
That's a great question because
Yeah.
there's a thin line between tribal pride versus
Tribalism.
our tribalism. Like I'm like so I'm better than, like, you know what I
Right.
mean? Like, oh, like
Mm.
it's a thin line, but like
We
you
need
said,
the mentality.
like you said,
I
like
think
you
a
said,
good
David,
example
it's
is-
like you
pro-
said, David. It's like once we learn how to look at that as a
Beautiful thing.
positive,
Yeah.
like that makes us stronger instead of a
dividing
Yeah.
line.
dividing line.
There-
No,
there's
it's
no
like
tribe. There's no
like
tribe
being
that is
proud of
better.
your tribe should not mean
Yeah.
my tribe is better than
It's
the
better.
other tribe.
Yeah.
But
That's-
it's
that's
it's
it
the
right
same thing. It's like
Right.
African Americans here in the United States. You have the South, you have the North, you have the West, you have everything in between. They
Yeah.
have different cultures, but at the end of the day,
Yeah.
they still black because they still know.
Worldwide, the West
Yeah,
Indian.
yeah.
Yeah, it's like if you want someone to acknowledge the beauty within your tribe and your culture, you have to give that same grace and acknowledge the beauty in theirs.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
I feel like once we give that and stop having like preconceived notions about this tribe is this and that, and you know, it's like, how about we focus on, okay, this tribe is beautiful, like the Acholi tribe, they have a beautiful tribal dance, and like there's things that you could admire about each tribe. So let's
Yeah.
focus on that versus being like,
Yeah.
oh, the Nuer people are like this, like, you know, or
Yeah.
it's like, you
Some
know, at the end of the day,
stereotypes too.
a stereotype. We have
Yeah.
more in common than we do have different, because we still do have the one South Sudanese culture, even though each tribe has different, you know, small things that they do differently.
Like-
in the end, we
so-
share a lot more.
Yeah, like someone from the outside cannot tell the difference between what,
Yeah,
like, you know,
exactly.
they cannot, like, we all
Exactly.
look alike.
They
Yeah.
just think we just jump and dance.
Right.
You can't find your tribe in your DNA.
And we in last place
Yeah,
right
exactly.
now in this race. So if we want to catch up, we got to stop
Unite.
focusing on this small stuff that divides us, because we're in last place and we're at a disadvantage in so many ways.
We in last
Yeah.
place, but
You
we
know
still
another
balling
thing?
on these niggas. I'm just gonna say that.
I would encourage.
You know
I would
another
encourage the
thing,
young
I think-
people. I would encourage the young people, when you guys start having kids, you know, no matter what tribe you're from, let your children learn the cultures of the other tribe.
Yeah.
Mm.
You know,
Yeah.
I'm a Dinka. I'm gonna encourage my children to learn Equatorian tribe and to learn Nuer tribe and to learn Zandi tribe. Learn as much
Yeah.
as you can from these different tribes. And what do you learn from that? What are the positive things that you get from that culture?
Do you think we
And-
need to have events where we get like
I think
every
we need to bring that back.
everybody
somebody
together?
should-
The
I
whole
think somebody
unity
should
and just-
write a book about that. Like, it just
Oh,
have
sure.
Yeah.
fun facts for
Awesome.
Just
some
have
of- like fun facts about each tribe.
It sounds
Yeah.
like
You
we're
know?
gonna have to have a
I
full
like-
discussion about tribalism. That's gonna be I think
Yeah,
we-
we'll have to run this back,
Yeah, of
guys. But
course.
this was so good.
Yes.
That's how you know it was
We
a good
want-
conversation.
Hey, ladies, can I suggest something?
What?
Where we have cultural exchange.
Yeah,
where
we need to have
literally-
events
like
like
where
we
you
used to.
highlight the
Everybody
specific-
bring your tribal
Yeah,
dance, your
yeah, I think
tribal
that's a
dress,
great
and
idea.
everything. We
And
used to
then
do that
traditional
growing up.
dishes
Yeah,
and
we
everything.
Exactly. So I
Yeah,
think that would be
we
I
really
would
really
like to
Juba-
add that
we
I
really
like
Juba.
different tribes because of the languages.
yeah,
and-
the languages.
Yeah.
I think
Alright.
learning different languages,
Oh,
it expands your brain and kind of allows you to unify everybody, because you know this person's language, you know this person's language.
Yeah, it allows you to step foot into that person's, because language is
Exactly.
very
Yes,
important.
they say
the way things are perceived, language
Mhm.
has a lot to do. Like once you can speak someone's mother tongue or their language, like you'll see how people get so excited they'll welcome
Right.
you in, because
Yeah.
there's certain nuances and things that you'll catch if you're speaking their language
Yeah.
versus vice versa.
Yeah, they'll
So-
literally like disarm themselves. Like,
Yeah.
when you
Yeah.
speak their language.
Yeah.
to
Yeah,
them.
and
Yeah.
it makes you more
Yeah.
open-minded. The more
Mm.
languages you can speak,
Yeah.
you're more in tune with different cultures. But before we wrap it up, I want to thank you, Bjor, so much for being
Thank
a part.
you, Bjorn.
And I want you to
Hey, can I suggest one more thing?
Yes.
I
please,
think-
please.
It's people in the diaspora making fun of FOBs. I think that makes. I think that's a topic
Oh.
people
Call
need
us
to talk
out.
about.
Yep, talk that talk.
yeah, thinking you're better.
Go ahead. What do you mean by
What
that?
is FOBs? Go ahead and break it down.
Expand it.
Fresh off the boat.
Yeah, fresh off the boat.
Or
just
off the
like,
plane.
I don't know.
Fresh off the
Just,
Fresh off
yeah.
the plane.
I don't know how else to explain it, but yeah, it's just like you got an accent, you didn't grow up in America, that type of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of like lost boys, lost girls.
We got to stop othering ourselves and like
Ooh.
creating these
lines. And the people who are quote unquote fobs are actually the most knowledgeable about our culture. They're the people that we can learn from, actually, because they know the language, they know the culture, and
they speak multiple languages.
Exactly.
And we were all fobs for the those of us that immigrated here.
Okay.
Because
I came off a plane.
My first day here.
Look at Tari trying to other himself like he's better. This is the problem, guys. Bougie, by the way. This is the problem we've been talking about for the last hour and a half. But let's wrap it up, guys. Thank you so much for being on this panel. This was so fire. We got to keep it going because this is a never-ending topic.
Yeah, absolutely. So thank you guys. We didn't have enough time to give you guys a closing with everyone, but we'll probably just do it in the beginning. We'll give you guys their social media.
No. But I think it's so important because Blue Nile, I called her out, and then David. So we got two things we want to plug.
Bior, we got to plug you. You got to plug your TikTok and all that.
Yes, but just to take it to David, he has something he wants to share with us. So I'll let him go ahead.
This is a book that was written by a very special woman, my very own mother. In this book here, it's a biography, and this is the same woman that when I was in the refugee camp, she was to lie on top of me at night just to shield me from bullets, and she would go out looking for me, run in the yard, and just look for me while she's dodging bullets, pick me up, take me back to the hut, lay on top of me all night, and just cover me from bullets. This is the life of a struggle. But this is not just a life of struggle. It's also a life of faith. It's a life of overcoming great conundrums, and it's also a life of faith and also of resilience. So this is her book. Her name is Abuk Makwaj. You can find the book at Amazon.com. You can find the book in Barnes & Noble, and you can also find the book on her website, which is Women Caught in the Crossfire.com. Thank you.
Thank you.
Awesome.
And then Blue Nile is an artist, and I will
Can I introduce my sister?
Yeah, introduce your sister.
Can I introduce one of the strongest and most beautiful women in my life? I'm blessed to have her. She looks like my mother when she was younger, and I'm very thankful to have her in my life. We were able to collaborate and do music, right? I never thought I would be able to do music because I said, I'm trash at this. And then I was blessed to have a voice like hers who could actually sing. And so I get to be able to write verses that communicate to my people. And so I'm blessed to have her.
Damn. This is the big brother that you would want. Like,
I'm so thankful.
You see how much he loves you?
Yeah, like he really. Yeah.
Oh God.
That's a South Sudanese big brother right there.
Is this a Dinka man crying like this?
About family, he doesn't play. Yeah, he don't play about his family.
So we are coming up with a group. It's called Nilotic Noise. And then I'm Blue Nile, and you can find me on all platforms. And I have a song, Pretty, out. He helped me write it too. I talk about colorism and how I grew up was not the easiest in America. And I'm just proud to be doing music and representing Sudan. And being a dark-skinned woman in the world. Yeah. And I express myself through my music and my vulnerability in the songs and Pretty and everything I write. So thank y'all. Check me out.
Can you sign us off with a little
can we hear a little sample of Pretty?
What would y'all like to hear? Color the song?
Yeah, what's the new one? The Pretty.
It's the way they fetishize, supposed to give me pride. Am I supposed to give a smile and say how the pain was worth my while? But I'm not denial, I'm from denial. I make myself smile because all the pain was worth my while, my while. All right, check out Pretty.
She's not denial, she's from denial, okay? I love it.
She's from the Nile.
Wow, that was so beautiful. Oh my God. I don't even know what to say.
No, I love it. Can't wait for more music. Do you guys want to go ahead and do it last
Neil
minute?
And then Tariq,
real quick,
we'll wrap it up.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I love y'all, but
I just want to say this was a great panel, and I love the voice, Blue Nile.
You got a pretty voice too.
Yeah,
thank you. We can
Someone
collaborate.
said that you were
sometime.
angelic, Neil. They were like, Neil has such an angelic presence.
Oh yeah, they did on our comments on our YouTube.
Yeah, so that was such a cute compliment.
Thank you for that.
For sure.
Where can they find you?
Where can we find you?
Yes. So you can find me on Instagram. I have a TikTok too, but I'm not as active. So find me on Instagram.
She will be soon.
Mm-hmm. Thank you for the encouragement. You can find me on Instagram at Niel_26.amol. And you can also find me on Spotify. I do audiobooks. The Spotify channel is Humor Me with a brain on it. Kind of a little nerdy, but
I like it.
Yeah. I love it. And Tarek, please.
Oh, I thought I was gonna get an introduction from Emmanuel, but
wait, no. I got you.
Oh yeah, let's do it. I want to hear it.
The most controversial band man in the game.
Okay.
The Sudanese seductor himself. The Sudanese the intellectual, no pseudo about it. That boy.
I know that's right.
I appreciate it.
Duval
I
County.
appreciate it. Duval. And we 5-2. No. Yeah, 5-2.
I'm a Titans fan. That's the problem. I hate y'all.
Yeah. But you in a Colts
I
jersey.
don't even have no social media to promote. He forgot
I do.
You do?
I do have my Instagram. I do have my Instagram. Arnabi20, ARNABI20. But I do promote my two brothers, Bunduki BUNDUKI _ and Dat Boy Ladu DATBOILADO. I do have a TikTok with the same name, but I don't post a lot. But I'm sure be posting a little bit more in this next couple of months. I'll be in Colombia for 90 days. So follow my adventures. If I get kidnapped,
Are you a passport bro? No, I'm just kidding.
Wow.
I'm just kidding. But last but not least, Bior, we want to make sure.
Wait, time out. Are uncles not passport bros?
We over the time. I want to get into it.
Our uncles are all passport bros.
I've heard about it, but I never really dived
no,
into it to find out what that was.
my nephew been living there for like 5 years. So
Okay.
Ain't no passport bros. We just
people
going.
who don't know
We just going to
passport bros
vibe.
mean,
Trying
they
to cross the
mean,
border.
a receipt to get what? Because I didn't know what it was. So I'm like,
Listen,
maybe
that's a whole nother topic.
I'm gonna come back with some bricks.
Yeah,
We should do Sudanese passport bros next episode. I'm just saying.
Bior, please let us know where to find you. You have really important content, so I want to make sure you get off your social handles.
And I feel like you guys should bring him back.
Yeah, for sure.
Yes.
Come to Dallas.
Definitely.
Offer you a seat at the table. Go ahead though.
I definitely, yeah. Well, yeah, I've got a bunch of social media. So, like, YouTube is probably my biggest one. You can just search up Bior, BIOR, or a more popular name is Push Royalty, but I recently changed it because I felt like it was kind of cringe. And then, you know what I mean? And then TikTok, it's like the same thing. You can find me at Bior or at Push Royalty. You'll search either or. And, yeah, same thing on Instagram. I got two Instagram. I got my Instagram where I post all my history content. I think I just renamed it East African Research Association. And I just got my regular Instagram. It's just Bior Maluel. BIORMALUAL. Yeah, that's it.
Boom. Thank you for being here. We appreciate it.
We really appreciate
Yeah.
you. Thank you for taking
This
the
panel.
time out. Yes.
Everybody, y'all were amazing.
y'all-
y'all already know where to find us.
Yeah.
At Ladies of Sosa.
Ladies of Sosa, make sure to follow us on. If you're following us on YouTube and watching us on YouTube, follow us on our Instagram too, our Facebook, because I feel like we have different followers in different places. But
sure.
we want you
Our
all
link tree.
everywhere.
Click our link tree in
Yes.
the bio. It has everything.
And comment. We like the comments.
Oh,
For
yes,
sure.
we like
Yeah.
to
Let
don't be
people
shy.
know what you feel, what you
let us
think.
know what you think.
Yeah, don't be
Yeah.
shy. Who do you agree with? Who do not disagree with? Or who like ideas that you like? If there was anything left out,
This
that
was
we
a loaded
missed.
topic.
Give me more beef. I want more beef.
He wants to smoke.
If
All the
you,
smoke.
Emmanuel, don't
if you
nobody
think I'm
have a problem
sweet,
with you.
Direct it to Emmanuel.
if you got
directly.
sweetness, come to me, bro. I want to see what you look like.
Oh my god.
Look at me. I want you.
All right.
There you
Thank
go.
I
you
want
guys.
problems. Always.
Emmanuel wants smoke, okay, but we don't. Okay, we
Thank
good.
you guys so much. Please like, comment, subscribe, and we'll
Yes.
catch you guys in the next episode. Bye, guys.
Bye.
Hey, yo. If you're still